Hi guys, and welcome to Skateboard Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the new Cadisen C8227M. I received this watch for free from the Cadisen official store on AliExpress. I don't have to send the watch back, but other than the watch, I received no other compensation for this review, nor did Cadisen have anything to do with this review other than providing me the watch, and that will be proven by this review. And if by the end of this review you do want to pick one of these up, I'm going to be leaving a link down in the video description. That is an affiliate link. If you guys use that link, you aren't paying any extra, but I will earn a little bit of commission on the sale, and it keeps the channel going. So again, thank you guys so much for the continued support over the years. So the retail price for this watch is around 86 US dollars. That's before any taxes, sales, coupons, or anything like that. I did recently get a message from them, just one of those auto-generated messages saying that they were giving a $20 discount. But at the time of this review, I'm only seeing $20 off an order of $250. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. Maybe we'll see a discount here pretty soon. But yeah, just keep an eye out for that. They said you can get this watch for $60. So yeah, who knows? This watch is offered in two different colorways that you can see here. I think they both look pretty good, but I definitely think the blue one looks a little bit nicer than that pale green color. Cadisen has also launched the C8226, which seems to be the same case, the same bracelet, and just a different, more grand Seiko-inspired dial. So keep that in mind as well if you're interested in purchasing this watch. The watch case is made of 316L stainless steel, has a sapphire crystal, a screw-down crown, a screw-down case back, 100 meters of claimed water resistance, and the watch is powered by none other than the Seiko NH35 automatic movement. So this watch has really been a mix of emotions for me, just like the design is a mix of Grand Seiko and Tag Heuer. I think design-wise, it's a really nice combination. I think it looks good, but the execution really isn't the best. So with that being said, let's get into this full review. But before we do a quick wrist check today. Wearing a new acquisition for me. This is the Seiko SRPE43. Just picked this one up last week, used, and it is absolutely beautiful. The review for this one will be coming very soon. Alright, so first things first, as always, we'll get the dimensions out of the way. Got a 40 millimeter diameter, case thickness of 11.6, got 20 millimeter lug width, lug tip of 47.4 millimeters, and sized up for my 7.5 inch wrist with two links removed. Weighs about 127 grams. So I think the dimensions on this thing are fine. They're really nice. At 40 by 47 is kind of the sweet spot for a lot of people. The thickness is also in check at 11.6 millimeters, so that's nice to see. Really happy with the thickness on this thing. Really happy with the case in general on this thing. I think the proportions are nice. And yeah, I think they did a really nice job with the size of it. Standard 20 millimeter bracelet as well. Female end link, so it does drop straight down. And yeah, I think it's going to fit a lot of wrist sizes. It's got a pretty decent heft to it as well, so it does feel pretty quality. So I'm going to go outside right now and throw this on my wrist for you. Well, here we are on my 7.5 inch wrist, and as you can see, I think it wears pretty good. You can tell I'm a little bit tight on there. Thought I was able to get a better fit than this one, but yeah, it is a little bit tight, and that's because of no micro adjust or anything like that on the bracelet. We'll talk about that in a little bit later, but the case itself, I think it wears very nice. You can see there it's got pretty good turn down to the lugs as well, so it does hug the wrist pretty nicely. It is very comfortable as well, like I mentioned. Those undercuts on the case are very, very comfortable. Pretty happy with this overall. And yeah, I think it looks pretty darn good here in the shade of this tree. Light catching off the indices and everything. It sparkles very nicely. And popping out into some direct sunlight here, you can definitely see that strong sunburst blue. It looks fantastic. Looks really, really good. Again, those polished surfaces catching the light nicely. Lots and lots of bling on this watch. It's a very dressy, everyday kind of watch, but you're going to be wiping this thing down like crazy. So just keep that in mind. I do think it looks pretty good on this bracelet, but I think it's going to look better on some straps. So let's go inside, let's throw on some straps, and we'll get back to this review. And here we are on a really, really dark blue, kind of shiny leather strap. This is a little bit dressy. This one's actually lifted off of the Seiko that was I showed you guys earlier, but just to give you an idea that this watch can get dressed up pretty good. I think the color combo looks really nice. I think the strap itself works well with this one, so yeah, it does look pretty good. What do you guys think about that one? And here we are on a mesh strap. I think that actually looks pretty good. Matches nicely with the indices and everything. I think it looks really nice, actually. Kind of dress this thing up just a little bit more without using the stock bracelet, which is not great. So yeah, another option for you guys if you like the bracelet. Yeah, here we are on one of my favorite straps. This is a suede strap. I'll link it down below for you guys. But yeah, looks really good on this. Kind of a light brown. I believe this is the coffee color one. Yeah, looks really good though, in my opinion. What do you guys think of that one? I always love blue and brown. So yeah, one last strap and we'll get back to it. And lastly, here we are on a Cincy strap co. This is the SF2. So it's a really thin nylon strap, but 2 layers underneath the watch there. It still sits very nice. Yeah, I got no issues with that. There's no clearance issues or anything like that with straps, so go nuts on this thing. The bracelet isn't great, so it's a good thing that straps won't have any issues on this thing and mostly look pretty darn good on it. So yeah, I think that's about it for me. Let's go back inside. Let's get back to this review. Okay, so let's talk about the case finishing. So Cadisen, in my opinion, Cadisen is one of the better brands as far as case finishing goes when you can when you're looking at that sub $100. You know, there's a lot of brands in that sub $100 range. Cadisen, I think, takes the cake when it comes to finishing. You'll see that here right now. So the finishing is a mixture of brushed and polished surfaces. You have a vertical brushing on the face of the bezel here. It seems to be applied pretty nice and pretty straight. I've got no issues with that. Sometimes these bezels, they can get off cock a little bit, and you know, that brushing kind of goes sideways a little bit. Not so much here. I think it looks really good. And then you do transition down to a nice polished surface there. Really nice sharp transition as well. Very happy with that. I think it looks good. The polishing looks really good as well. The case itself, you have a vertical brushing on the tops of the lugs here. Really nice and consistent and satinized. Again, they do a very, very nice job for the price. I'm impressed almost every time I get one of these Cadisens. And then you flip it to the case sides here, and again, a really nice satinized brushing there. Very happy with that. All those sides are accented with these nice polished chamfers. I mean, getting up real close. This is you know, getting right, you know, right up there with like a San Martin quality. I'm not really blowing smoke there. It is really, really nicely done. Very happy with the polished chamfers on this thing. You can see even this bottom edge here has a nice polished chamfer. So that's the edge that is usually really, really sharp. Not on this case. It is just buttery smooth. So it's a very comfortable case to wear. Flipping it to the crown side here, you do have a signed crown there, screw down crown, nice size, nice grip. I got no real complaints with it. But I mean, the case finishing on this thing is really the highlight of the watch, in my opinion. They do a nice job. Even the polishing is done just really nice and smooth. I mean, it's quite impressive. With that being said, this watch did arrive with a flaw on the bezel. Where was it? Right there. Right at this 9 o'clock area here. See these little specks here? I'm not really sure what it was. It just looks like little pitting. So yeah, that's something that came on the watch right out of the box. Pretty, you know, I'm not very happy with that at all. So yeah, just something for Cadisen to keep an eye on. But as far as the case itself goes, it is really nicely done. Flipping it to the case back here, you can see you've got a vertical brushing on the bottom of the lugs there, which is unusual, but nicely done. The case back itself, it's an exhibition case back. I'm assuming that's just mineral. We'll test it. But yeah, it's really interesting. I'm not really sure why they decided to put this pattern on the back. It covers up the Seiko NH35. It's not a pretty movement, but I think it's better looking than that. It's a cool design, but I'd rather see the movement personally. Other than that, though, you got a little spec sheet around the outside, simple notches to get a tool into. Everything back here is nice and smooth and comfortable on wrist, so no real complaints other than just a kind of an odd decision with that case back. But yeah, the case in general on this thing is very nice, and if you get one without any of these little pittings, you're going to be super impressed with the case finishing on this thing. All right, time to talk about the crystal. First things first, we'll test it for sapphire. And it is positive for sapphire. I did test the back crystal as well. That is mineral. Not a surprise there, but it is a front sapphire crystal, which is nice to see. It does appear to have some anti-reflective coating on it. There's a little blue hue to it, I guess. It could use more, I'll say that, but it's really not that bad. It's a flat sapphire, so reflections aren't too bad on it. But yeah, it's just plain flat sapphire. It sits ever so slightly above the bezel there, as you can see. Nothing fancy, nothing offensive. It is what it is. It's fine. All right, so let's talk about the dial on this thing. So the dial is a really nice, deep, kind of sunburst blue. It looks incredible. The sunburst doesn't really show up great under my lights, but hopefully you saw that outside in the outdoor shots. But yeah, the dial on this thing is actually done pretty good. You have this sloped chapter ring around the outside. You got your minute track, and that's broken up into sub-seconds there. pretty nicely done in my opinion. I think it looks really good. The applied indices are applied very nice, very straight. I see nothing out of alignment really. The indices are quite unique. They have quite a bit of detail in them. They're kind of split down the middle, and then they're kind of stepped kind of right at where the hour hand should touch. So they got a lot of detail on them. So because of that, they do sparkle quite a bit. I'm not going to say they look premium, but they do look pretty good, and they do catch the light like a premium watch would. But in my opinion, they need to have a little bit more height to them to really feel premium and look premium. But as it is, I think they look good, especially for the price you're paying. You do have your Cadisen applied logo there at the 12 o'clock position with the Cadisen text. Got a nicely framed date window there at the 6 o'clock position. So you do have a custom date wheel on this, which is nice. Very simple branding, Cadisen, and then automatic. I like that. It's nice and clean. I think it looks really good. The handset that they chose on this, the minute hand, perfect. Reached right out to the minute track. Same with the seconds hand. I think that one's fine as well. But that hour hand is really small, really short. I think they could have bolted that up a little bit and made it a little bit longer, and it would have looked a little nicer. But so the hands, they do have really nice detail on them. They are faceted, and they kind of have this, if you look at the minute hand here, they have this kind of machined area down the center of it. So a lot of detail went into these hands. I think they look mostly pretty good. But yeah, that hour hand definitely looks a little short. But for the most part, I think the dial on this thing actually looks pretty good. The lume on this thing is absolutely terrible. I'm going to pop up a lume shot right now. You can see it against a couple other watches in the collection, and it's just bad. Those little lume plots on the outside of the indices, they just fade immediately. The hands are not far behind them. Yeah, the lume on this watch is not good at all. If you're in it for the lume, just forget it, skip it, and move on. All right, let's talk about the movement and the crown. So again, this is the Seiko NH35. It hacks hand winds roughly 40 hours of power reserve, 21,600 beats per hour. You are probably getting sick of hearing me talk about this thing, but it's a great movement. You got a bidirectional winding rotor, so you don't have a rotor spinning around. It does everything you need it to do. It's cheap, it's reliable, they're easy to work on, easy to replace if you need to. They're great movement, and I have zero complaints with. This one is running okay. The accuracy I think is fine, but the beat error is a little concerning. You can see it's kind of all over the place, but yeah, for the most part, these movements are great, and I've had zero issues with them really. This one is operated by this 3 o'clock screw down crown. Again, nicely signed, good grip, good size. I've got no complaints on that. The screw in, screw out action is nice and smooth. You get a decent satisfying pop out from the NH35. First position is your hand winding. Second position is your date changes. You can see there, date seems to be pretty well centered in that window as well, so very happy with that. And then the third position here, it does hack the movement. This is where you set your time. Everything functions as it should. You got no issues with it at all. Nice satisfying click into place there. The screw in action, again, really nice and smooth. I've got no real issues with it. All right, so let's talk about the bracelet on this thing. So the bracelet is a 3-link style bracelet here. Solid links, solid end links, female pivot end links. It's 20 millimeters, and it tapers down to 18 millimeters at the clasp. You can see here the outer links are fully polished. The inner links are a mixture of brushed and polished. They have a really nice, actually, brushing on the top surface there, and then polishing on the ends of the surfaces there, as you can see right there. I think it looks pretty good. It sparkles nicely if you're into this style. I mean, it's a lot of bling. Too much bling for me. I wish they would have brushed this entire bracelet and left these ends exposed like that and polished. I think that would have been enough. As it is, this is going to pick up fingerprints and scratches like crazy. The bracelet itself has some flex, has some jangle to it, so it is pretty comfortable. It is fluid, it doesn't hang up on itself or anything like that, and these bottom edges, they've all been rounded off pretty nicely. So as far as comfort goes, it's pretty nice. It also does have, like I said, female solid end links there, and they fit pretty nice and tight in the case. I've got no real complaints with that. Where my complaints begin is the butterfly clasp. You know me, I don't like butterfly clasps. If you don't have half links or some sort of micro adjust, it's going to be almost impossible to get a good fit. Thankfully, I was able to get a pretty decent fit on this thing, but you can see there's still a lot of play in it. There's a lot of rattle that comes from this. Everything functions as it should, and there's a little bit of decoration in there, but for the most part, it's a very generic butterfly clasp. It's not great. It's not terrible, but the lack of micro adjust and half links really kind of kills any desire I want to wear this thing on the bracelet. So thankfully 20 millimeters, so you can switch it out. But Where my problems start, again, is with the quality control. This watch arrived here with the scratch on the top of the end link there, as you can see. Pretty nasty looking scratch. It's not even a scratch. It's almost like just a defect in the end link. So yeah, not happy with that at all. And then the push pins. The push pins on this thing, they were a total nightmare. You can see the arrows there. So, you know, this isn't my first push pin bracelet, but I had such a hard time sizing this thing because some of the pins were in backwards, some of the pins were in correctly, but they still wouldn't come out. I mean, it was just a nightmare to size this thing. I did eventually get it sized up and get it figured out, but I think I bent a pin or two in the process. So everything goes back together as it should have. You know, I didn't have any problems getting the pins to go in the right way. So there, right here, you can see a pin that I didn't mess with. You can see the split ends on that there. So these pins are supposed to come out towards the camera. This one obviously goes the other way, and flipping it over to the other side here, I don't even know what I'm looking at here. I just don't know what's going on with these pins. So it was just a total nightmare to size this thing, and yeah, pain in the butt. I don't get why they did it that way, but that's how it arrived to me. It was a very frustrating process, but I did eventually get it sized. And like I said, the bracelet, it just feels kind of light. I wish they would kind of bulk this up a little bit. You know, you can see through all these gaps in the bracelet there, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you know, they could definitely tighten this thing up a little bit. It has a little too much flex and a little bit too much jangle for it. For about $80 or so, it's pretty much on par, I'd say. Maybe a little bit lower than on par, but yeah, they definitely could do something with that just to match the quality of the head. So there you go, guys. That is the Cadisen C8227M, a mixture of designs, a mixture of emotions when I talk about this thing and tell you guys about the quality of it. The quality in the head and the finishing, I think, is there. The dial, I think, is there as well. A couple little design decisions that I would have done differently, but you know, the bracelet really lets it down. The quality control issues kind of let it down. Yeah, they've got a pretty good combination of a watch here. But just let down a little bit by the execution, which I guess I can forgive a little bit based on the price, but I still think there's some better options under $100 than this watch here. They almost got it. They really did. They almost got it. I think if they fix the bracelet, maybe tighten it up just a little bit, put a normal clasp on it, and then, you know, kind of tighten up those quality control issues, fix that hour hand. This would be a really, really nice watch for $80. As it is, though, you're going to have to take a gamble on it. You know, if you don't have any quality control issues and you're okay with, you know, a bracelet that's not, you know, great, and Lume that's just terrible, I really do think this is a good value. So yeah, I think that's it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.